The Too Many Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock That He. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. Too Many Hats podcast.
Top of the morning to you, my good people. Happy Thursday, man. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say, man. It's your host with the most, Tony Mays, Lavelle Salter. What it do, my guy?
What's up, bro?
Oh, man, I can't call it. What's up, Tony, man? I can't call it, man. Well, look, man, y'all know we are continuing our conversation from earlier this week. We've been talking about this all week long, man. And this is how do we get our children back, man? It's been really crazy out here. This week has been, man, atrocious, bro. Like it's like every day you wake up, it's 4, 5 more people just added to the list. So man, we are struggling, man, trying to find like how do we get our children back, man. I have a special guest this morning, man, all the way from Detroit. Uh he's a guy, man, that's well respected, man. He's well respected. I well respect him. I respect him because for a couple of things. I've watched him bring his children up in the admiration of the Lord, and also I watched him grow. This young man played basketball at Notre Dame and has grown into uh, a real estate mogul. And man, everything else you want to say about him, man, he is just a good overall genuine guy, man. He may have to duck if he walk in your front door though, because I think he about 7'1", 7'2", so he had to duck when he walking in. But all around good guy, man. So I'm gonna bring him to the stage now, Mr. Marcus Young.
Appreciate that intro.
Man, look, yeah, man. Well, you one of the men that I really respect. Good morning, Azon. You one of the guys that I really respect, man. That I know, you have always been a part of your children's life, making sure that they had what they needed, and not only had what they needed, but had you guys in their lives. You guys have been supportive for them. You guys have traveled all around the country, watching them play basketball and any other sports that they were in, and just being there for them. And I often say, man, you can be in your children's life, you can be there every day and still not be present in their life. And so you have to be present, not just be there showing up to pay the bills and make sure they got a roof over, but being present in their life, interacting in their lives. And I think this is where we really lost the ball at and dropped the ball, and why so many of our children have just gone astray, bro. And like they just don't care, man. When I tell you they don't give two F's, they don't give two F's about nothing or nobody. And why is that, man? There are a lot of reasons. We can point the finger to any and everybody in all situations, but man, it seems like we've been talking about this all week, and every time we bring up with what the problem is and a solution, the solution brings another problem to the forefront.
Right.
We talked about parents who are young parents who just maybe never had the example in their lives growing up. But then that's another whole problem. You now you're talking about retraining adults. So man, we here all week just trying to figure out what we can do to just make this situation better, or to bring will our children back in, man. In any perspective, we know you coming from Detroit, you've probably seen and witnessed some stuff for yourself. I know your dad probably tried to get you, to off them streets and out of there, and probably everything else. But what is it that we can do, Marcus, to try to help wheel these children back in?
I hear you, man. I hear you. Because I don't know, they know this is my cousin as well.
Yeah.
Somebody that I looked up to, and I'm looking at this and say 2 men in hats, man. I just got to pause for a minute before I jump into that question, and just take my hat off to you guys, man. I love these topics that you guys have, and I watch you. I try to catch it as much as I can, and it's always interesting topics. So my hat's off to you guys, man, for what you're doing and bringing the community aware of issues that they might just be overlooking. So again, my hat's off to you guys. Now, going to your question, man, that's a deep question. That's a deep question.
With a lot of layers.
Man, there's a lot going on with that, but it's relevant. We need to talk about that kind of stuff today. You touched on some of my history and some of the things that went on with me. I grew up in Memphis, up until I was 12. And one of the things I was starting to do is to get into a whole lot of stuff. I was doing all kinds of stuff. My mom was looking at me. She was always working, so I was home alone. I was doing stuff like pushing her car out the garage so I can go joyriding. And then you got friends with you, want to ride, want to do crazy stuff. And that's what was happening with me is I wasn't thinking about no sports. I wasn't thinking about none of that kind of stuff. I was just at home. My mom would tell me to cut the grass. I'm like, call one of your boyfriends. Hope she don't see this, but that was how I was, man. And I share that because when I got so bad, my mom ended up calling my father, said, I think he's ready for you. And I ended up going to Detroit, go live with my dad. Everything changed. You know my father. So first thing I got into, I was always a big kid. I'm 6'9", 285 now. So as a kid, I was always tall. I was thick when I was living with my mom. And he sent me up here. First thing I did, got into football, which is still my first love, although I played basketball. And started getting into sports, started getting having a father that put a structure around you, didn't allow you just to do everything. I had to cut the grass. I had to do stuff like that. I thought he was the hardest man in the world. I still feel like he's pretty hard, but at the same time, he taught me responsibilities. And I feel like that ties into what we're talking about, what you guys are talking about. And he taught me that he actually, I don't even know if even though he was hard, but he still steered my life in a different direction. Because I know I would probably have kids, had all kinds of stuff going on. But he's always say to me, you get a girl, and how real can I be on here too? Let me know.
Oh, real, bro. We real.
My father's always
we preachers, but we the realest preachers you're gonna ever want to meet in your life.
I like that. We on the same page.
Yeah.
And, my dad used to always try to scare me and say, man, if you get a girl pregnant, you can't play no sports. That was his thing. But I know when I look back at it now, I know where my dad was coming from. He was trying to make sure I didn't take or make the same mistakes he made.
Mistakes. Exactly.
And you just said it, a lot of these kids is trying to raise up men. But my dad, he didn't have his father in his life like that. So he only knew what he knew. Everybody could be a little better, but he only knew what he knew. So all he could do was teach me not to make the mistakes he made. So he used to always tell me, don't girl pregnant, you can't play sports. He was on his way to becoming like major league, real good in baseball. He started having children. He had to go work. He couldn't do that no more. So he's always talked to me about them things. You got to make sure you keep the main thing. And if you get off course, it's going to steer your life off course. So
I tried not to rule my household with fear. With kids coming up, because my mom, like I said, I said this yesterday. My mom was the strong disciplinarian in my family. My dad wasn't in the house. My stepdad was there. My stepdad was cool, laid back. My stepdad was just a breadwinner. He'd go get that money up, as Queen was. He wanted to get that money, man, and he bring that money home. After he done went to the racetrack and did his little thing and gambled and he still brought that money home, gave it to my mom, and told her, pay the bills, what you need to do what you need to do. And so my mom was that strong disciplinarian, and bro, you didn't want to cross my mom. So I knew how far I could go, and I knew what lines not to cross. And when you have a parent like that, well, you better not. When that porch light came on, bro,
You got to be in the house, Doc.
you better be on that porch or walking in that door.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So we knew this. This is stuff that we knew, but now these kids, you ask a parent now, where your 12-year-old child at? Oh, they out down the street, somebody's house. What?
Yeah, I think it was Channel 3 used to, when the news came on. Do you know where your children are?
You know where your children are. Yep. and so we lost. It's like when these kids start really having kids, because look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that every single parent household is horrible or them the ones the kids out here bad. No, I'd be lying to you.
Right.
Some 2-parent households that kids out there just running them up, where mom and dad are so busy trying to keep up with the creature comforts and what Joe Blow and all them are doing that they're neglecting the children. And then there are some that are doing everything possibly right to do the kid, but like you said, we're gonna find a way to go out here and do our little thing on the side, get into some trouble here or there. And sometimes it's not even the parents, it's who we hanging around. That's why when our parents used to tell us they ain't like such and such, you mama, you tripping, but they knew the kind of character of person that person was, and they didn't want you to get in some trouble or be influenced by who you was hanging around.
That's it. And what they say, the 5, if you want to know your economic status, just look at the 5 people you hang around. And I got a daughter, you talked about my 2 girls and I look at my one daughter, and they did something on their team this year that I've never seen before, even in the years I played ball, is their entire team, everybody had a GPA of 3.8 or more. And a lot of them had 4.0, the entire team. And when they huddle together, or when they talking to the side and playing around together, they talking about academics, talking about, I got to get this class. And I know they were pushing each other academically, but that was a community, that was a group. And you will see what happened. You see the fruit of it. But same thing, I coached some other teams before, and they talking about they barely making it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the entire group had that mindset. So it is definitely the people you will be around.
For the good or the bad.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's something we need to carry, even into our. Because I always talk about watch your friends.
So what happens though, cuz? What happens when what Pop said, let your parents call you by your whole entire name. You knew you were in trouble. Mama did not play, for sure.
Man,
boy, my mama called my whole name, bro. But what about the parents that aren't doing the things that you talked about, that aren't warning you about those friends, that aren't, because they didn't have an example themselves, and they don't even know how to parent because they had you young, they mama was young, and they grandmama was young, and so it's a generational just non-examples. So what, in that case, what does the child have to look forward to?
Yeah, that's tough, because I know what I'm seeing. There's a couple of things I want to talk about later, but that question right there is a tough one, because a lot of these kids is young, and if they didn't have any examples, it's tough for them to try to be that for their children. And I think a lot of times what I'm seeing is it's just one person in that household too. And one person can't, they not there. Now it's some women out here that know how to handle, like you just said, your mom. There's some women out here that know how to handle the situations. You know what I mean? But at the same time, even those women need to have somebody next to them to give them a different viewpoint.
Right.
I just got to go back to my dad. My dad was so dang tough. He was like a general. You know what I mean? He was so
Right.
tough. But my stepmother, she was the calming person. You know what I'm saying? There's been times I wanted to leave the house, but my stepmother come and calm me down, you know, and
Right.
relax me. And she'll talk a different side and like he just love you. He want the best for you. I was like, he ain't told me he loved me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, this man me.
That's, I say it all the time,
But
man.
I'm like, oh.
If you rough around the edges, you gotta have. And see, that's what Monica was. See, I said I tried not to rule my house like a, you know, like your dad or that general, but I was tough, man, because I didn't want my kids, bro, doing some of the stuff I did or running in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I was tough, man. Especially the boy, I was real tough on them. But I left it up to Monica to coddle them, to reassure them. I let them know I love you. I ain't responsible for Joe Blow. Oh, they going. I don't care. I ain't responsible for them. And then Monica would come back and just like your Monica would come back and be like, you know, your daddy this, the daddy that. Monica was the go-between, it seemed like, between us. Like, Monica would come back and talk to me and say, babe, I thought, you was a little harsh, or she'll come and say, babe, the kids want to do such and such. They told me to bring this to you, So she was like really like that go-between between us because I was focused on, I got to provide for the family. I got to keep the family together. I got to protect my family. I got to keep my boys from the streets and my daughter from the street. I can't let my daughter run out here with every Tom, Dick. So I took my daughter on her first date at whatever it was, 13, 14, to show her how she should be treated. And then I talked to her and I told her, look, and this is what I said. I didn't sugarcoat it. I said, we sitting across the table eating dinner. I said, now let me tell you what I really want to tell you. I said, boys will tell you anything to get your puss. I ain't sugarcoat it. I ain't said poo nanny, cuckoo, none of that. I said it. I said, and I'm being graphic. She said, oh, daddy. I said, no. I said, I'm being graphic because I really want you to hear what I'm saying. I said, they'll tell you they love you. They'll tell you you the queen of their life, that you everything to them. You mean just to get it. Once they get it, they gone. On to the next one.
Yep.
And I said, if you never remember anything else I said to you, I said, remember this. Women are attracted to what they hear. Men are attracted to what they see.
Yep.
And then just, for that not being your actual biological child, for you to step up to the plate and treat her like she was your daughter, because you got a lot of, if you're dating now, 9 times out of 10, that person's going to have some children. And I get it. That's not your child, but take responsibility for, accountability for what you took to be a part of, and they come with it. And what's gonna happen is when that person that you're dating see that you're doing that for that child, they're gonna love you a little bit more. I know Monica really appreciate you the way you took care of Tasia.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't an option for me.
I know, but a lot of guys don't be with that, dog. You know how they go.
Yeah, but that's a problem in itself. That wasn't an option for me. From the time Tasia came from the hospital, Tasia was my baby. That was my baby. It wasn't I wasn't a biological. That didn't play no role or part in my mind ever. You know what I'm saying?
It was a long time. I didn't know that she wasn't yours.
Right.
I always thought it was Tasia, and it is.
And she is. So, like, my parents never treated her any different. She been grandbaby. That's what it's always gonna be because. See, we say it all the time, the blood don't make you family.
Nope.
We say it all the time, blood does not make you family. So we got to share and love these kids, man. And that's what the kids are missing the most. True love. Chris Williams had a song, on Daryl Petty CD that was called True Love. And in this song, he said, I finally found
True
true
love.
love. And he was talking about God. I finally found true love. But
Mhm.
you got these kids out here looking for love, bro, and they not getting no love. And so if the parents are not giving it to them, where they gonna get it from? The streets. And it's gonna be a different kind of love in the streets, bro.
Sure live.
You know,
A different kind of love.
you just said a lot, Tony, a whole lot. And you actually, to me, just answered the question you just asked me about, you know, the younger families, the people that's trying to get their children out the street. You just said it to me. It gotta start with the church. It gotta start with the church. We gotta have the church gotta step back up. You know what I'm saying? We need men examples in the church. We need some women, some mothers that's not beating kids over top of their head, you know, with the word, but loving on these young ladies that need assistance. And I think that's it.
The thing about it is with the church is there's a difference between a church and a ministry.
Come on.
Ministry simply means meeting a need. And anytime that you're going and being a part of an organization and it's not meeting a need, then there's an issue and a problem. So you have a lot of nonprofit organizations that meet needs, but a lot of the times the church is so gung-ho about the church, their church, whatever name it is, you know, how many members I got, how much tithe I'm raising. They're not so much concerned about your well-being holistically, mind, body, spirit, and soul. And that's what the plight of it supposed to be. And when it's not like that, then it's an issue, there's a problem and a concern. And it's not operating like that anymore.
And there's some good ones out here. There's some bad ones, but there's some good ones out here.
Oh yeah,
that they don't get. They don't. The ones that's on the news. I give an example of the church I was at. We started in the basement of the church, and we would be in the basement. I remember it would be some single mothers young mothers that would come to the church. And I remember my pastor at the time. I remember we all got together. She didn't have much. We all got together and got canned goods. We got all kinds of stuff just to give her, to show her love and to help her with the children that she had. And we were doing stuff like that. Yeah, that wasn't no Fox, you know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. But if you know, the wolves out here be on Fox 2 all the time. You know, talking about the tide,
yeah, I was just finna say that. So you got some people. See, the church is on God now because there are so many people saying they church got the money, they supposed to help people, so I'm gonna run to the church, and they only run to the church when they need. You know, they don't come for no other reason but when they need. And so the church start holding their God and say, well, this person only show up every month when they like me or do. Oh, this person. So they start being on guard. And so, but that's partly our problem too, because man, when you have a family unit where even if the dad is not there, where the mom is teaching, the mom has been taught morals and values and principles, and mom is sharing and teaching, because you don't learn. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are all old, they won't depart from it. There has to be some training, bro.
Yep.
You got to show principles, morals, values, all of these things, but you got to show and teach these to the kids, because if they don't get them, they're going to get a different kind of moral value, respect from the street, bro.
Yep, the wrong moral values and standards.
It's going to be wrong.
Yep.
Let me get to a couple of these comments. Monica says, what you say, Mark?
No, I was saying this. There's a lot of influence. There's social media. There's music. You really gotta be careful, because there's some stuff out here that's demonic. And don't get me wrong, I listen to all types of music, but it's some music that I don't mess with. And I'm gonna just throw this out. Like I listened to a couple of lyrics of Doja Cat, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, some don't sound right with her.
Right.
And I was like, I had to back off some of this stuff. And I said, I don't let that play when we all riding together. You know what I mean? Because, you know, talk about demonic stuff and all that kind of stuff. I can't get with that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I see money.
Marcus said it definitely matters who's influencing your child. Motivation could be positive or negative. Exactly. Clarence said facts. Pop said, if you respect yourself, you respect the children of the person that you are dating. You treat them like they're your own. I did, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
You have to. Man, look, these children, man. If you're not loving on these kids at home, like you said, Marcus, your daddy was, man, hard on you. And Uncle Lewis had been on this show several times. He used to be a mainstay. But this Uncle Lewis' son, Lavelle, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And Uncle Lewis been on here several times, man, just talking in the comments and sharing just really good nuggets, man. We used to get a lot of nuggets from him. But I know your dad. He's rough, you know. And if he, you know, even in his roughness and all that, he probably didn't tell you, Marcus, I love you, but he showed it by being present in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. See, I could be in the household with you where you just provide, you not telling me you love me, but you're not present either. So I'm not feeling that love.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you were fed up because you was a teenager or whatever, saying, man, look, I'm ready. Man, this man tripping. He already got me doing this. Then Eve come right along and say, you know your dad really love you. He wouldn't even do the stuff. He wouldn't, you know, he love you. He just want the best for you, blah, 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 blah. She was that person that came to tell you daddy love you, but he was showing you he loved you.
And that's another scenario too, because a lot of time, man, with men, for whatever the reason, we got this whole thing where men supposed to be hard, men are supposed to cry, we don't supposed to show no affection and all this stuff. You got all these men who've gone through life, they working, they doing their thing, and they literally like a teapot pressure about to burst, literally. And like, I'm one of those individuals, man, that, you know, I believe that a man should be able to show both sides of it. But society has said that I can't show that side because I'm a punk, I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that. But I believe that we need that in our society so you can have a balance. You know what I'm saying? And so some of these men, you know, they literally going through life and they hurting.
Yeah.
And they
And
can't
you know what?
say that they hurting because they say that they hurting, then, you know, oh man,
They view that as weak. Yeah,
suck it up. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Tony, on one of the pods, you said, you know, when the little girl fall and hurt herself, you like, oh baby, get on up, da 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 da. Then the little boy fall, be like, man, suck it up, man. Go. You don't need no Band-Aid, nothing. Man. You be all right.
Yeah. But we've been shown that since we were little boys.
Yeah.
You know, we were shown that little girl was different because if the little girl got a boo-boo, they picking up the little girl, calling her, rubbing. But when the little boys, now it's different. Now that's when we came up. Now it's different. As soon as the little boy fall, now he picked up and coddled and you know what I'm saying? And so that's how he grow up.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Man, let me just say this about my dad, since we was talking about him. It was a lesson my dad taught that stuck with me even to this day. As a kid, I remember when I first moved up there with him, he put me right into football. I was like the biggest kid out there. I was husky. And I never forget, I got out there and was running up and down the field, man. I was like, this ain't for me. I've passed out a couple times. I ain't never ran that much. And I remember coming to the sideline when practice was over with, barely could make it to the sideline. I remember going to my father. He was like, you good? You all right? I was like, Dad. I was like, he asked me, I told him, I said, I want to quit. I don't want to play football because I wasn't used to that running. And the thing that my dad told me, fellas, is he said, why you want to quit? I was like, it's too hard. He said, wrong answer. Go get back out there. When my dad told me that, and I knew I ain't had no option to quit, I went out there and I messed around, started getting better and better with it. Next thing you know, I'm playing ball, and I was getting better and better. Even times I wanted to quit, I knew that in the back of my mind, I can't quit.
You couldn't.
And I'm gonna tell you this: when I got to Notre Dame, you mentioned Notre Dame. My first semester at Notre Dame, when I was in high school, I don't know about y'all. When I was in high school, I could just study the night before and do well. The next day on the test, like a B or an A or something like that. When I got to Notre Dame, I tried to do that same stuff. Man, almost flunked out at Notre Dame my first semester. I don't know, a lot of people know, almost flunked out that first semester because of my grade. And it was in my head like I wanted to quit. And all I could hear is my dad's voice just because it's hard.
It's not an option.
It's not an option.
Man,
mindset,
I got
your mindset.
I was doing everything I knew to do to get my grades right. And to make a long story short, man, I ended up graduating 3.5 years because of lessons I learned early on. And how do we get them lessons to the kids now? That's, we got to have some kind of influence. And the first thing I think about is somebody in the church, if they don't have nobody in their surrounding, we got to have it in the church, or some foundation got to be there.
Speaking of that, Marcus, I was telling Tony yesterday, you may be familiar with the organization that's up there, but it's an organization of men that literally they're like the extra set of police and extra set of eyes in Detroit. We're here probably about maybe a month and a half or so ago, they came and shut this store down where the guy wasn't doing right by some of the citizens there and whatever. Are you familiar with that organization there in Detroit?
I'm familiar with a couple of them. I'm not sure of the same one, but I know here in Detroit, they used to have a lot of issues with called the Angels Night. They call it Devil's Night back in the day, where they just either the night before Halloween or after that, they would go and burn up everything. And then they had a group of men, group of not just men, there was a community that started to put in a watch out in the neighborhoods to make sure that stuff don't happen, because they were burning their own stuff. It's sad. Black people burning up their own neighborhoods, just being silly out there, doing dumb stuff. And then they had a community that carried.
They said, no, we ain't doing that over here.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they were going out, and then people saw how they were being effective in a certain community. It started growing, and then they started watching. And I think it branched off to what you're talking about a little bit.
Okay.
Making sure people policing your own self.
Yeah.
And,
right.
Monica says parents are there, but not present. They not showing up at school. They not helping with homework, but fussing about F's. They not spending quality time with the child. They pay the bills only. Children desire time and attention more than buying them a pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
Phyllis says, if you are training your children, you need to show and not just tell. If you are an abuser, how do you teach your daughter not to let a man abuse her? If you need help, get some help to be able to raise your children. Absolutely. You got to be able to raise your kids, man.
Let me say this.
And the love has to be there.
I gotta say this because I just touched on listening to certain things, certain music, and you have a discernment. That's why I go back, man. You got to have some type of spiritual foundation to give you that discernment, because you might not be able to be with them 100% of the time, but if you got some discernment, you can watch your child to kind of see how they move, and you can, where you been? You can just say it to them, where you been at? What's going on? Who you been hanging with? You can pick up on them things. And so you gotta have, I think that's the answer, bro. If I give you one answer, I say you gotta have a relationship with God. You gotta find your own personal relationship, because God, he said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. And I believe that God will begin to impart wisdom into you. You begin to hear things that you didn't hear before, and he'll be able to speak to you. And then when he does that, you can carry that over to your children.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the relationship with God is necessary, but you also have to have a relationship with your child. How can your child live in your house and you not have a relationship with your child? You know what I'm saying? Like, this the part I don't get nowadays. Like, the only time we're communicating with the kids is the fuss, cuss, blast. Right? We ain't having no positive affirmation, confirmation conversation with the kids. It's all about you effed up. You didn't wash the dishes. You didn't take out the trash. You did this. You did that. You did. And they saying, man, all you do is talk at me.
Not to me.
You talk to me.
Yeah.
And when you talk to you, if you talk at me enough, guess what I'm starting to do now? I'm starting to tune it out.
Yep.
One of the things I used to always say, I'm talking about, I turn blue in the face. I'm gonna tell my kids the same stuff over and over and over and over again. I'm gonna drill it in their head, and I be like, man, they just ain't listening. They are doing stuff, and then you'll have a conversation with them. You talking, and they repeat all the stuff you've been telling them. I'm like, so you was listening.
Right.
So you was listening, right? Yeah. So even though they might act like they not,
Mm-hmm.
when you have a relationship with them, bro, they listening, bro. They listening. Who was that said? That was Marcus, I think, said yesterday. He was like, yeah, man, like even like my parents would tell me, you know, what's right, what's wrong, whatever. He said, I go out there and I had to make the choice whether I want to do what my parents said was right or what my partner was saying, let's go do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to make the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't want to always put it back in the child's hands. Even though we tell them everything, we tell them all the time that everything you do in life has a consequence, whether right or wrong, good or bad, has a consequence, right? But we also understand from a mental health perspective that most people not even mentally developed to make sound decisions until they hit the age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
So they gonna make some dumb, stupid decisions. We just hope that it ain't the decisions that's catastrophic or put at a point where it's costing them their life or somebody else's life or time in jail.
You did it, Tony. You said it, you know, when you met with Tasia, you had her to dinner. You was her first date. I did that same thing with my daughter. I took them to a father-daughter dinner. When my daughter turned a certain age, I took her, we dressed up and everything. We got dressed up. We went to had dinner together. And I had what I did for my daughters, I saw somebody do this, and I said I got to do that when my daughter get older. But I had like a little purity ring, and when I met with my daughters, we had dinner. They loved it too, by the way. They was like, yeah, me and my dad going. They loved it. When I got there, I had a chance to talk with my daughter, and I told her, I said, this purity ring means a lot. And it said the only person that should be able to replace this ring is your husband. Ring, and I made a big thing out of it, you know, real big thing. And I did that with both. And I don't know why my youngest is the only one that still wear it, but at the same time, but if you ever see her with a chain, you'll see that.
I bet you the old one got it though. It's a keepsake. I bet you she got it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she got it.
Talk about it sometimes. And I can tell the impact. But that goes over to talking about having relationships, you know, with our kids. And it started with stuff like you did with Tasia and I do with my girls, you know, and just being there, having them conversations. You know, it might be uncomfortable conversations to some people, but you got to have them conversations. You know what I mean?
I don't have boys, but like I even like used to put my boys in the car, and I know Lavelle has done this. He had put his children in the car and just rode and talked. I used to put my boys in the car and just ride and just talk. And hey, just try to find out, you know, and just let them know, man, like, look, you know, you can come to me and tell me, and like, I ain't there's no judgment over here, you know. And I used to always tell them I love them. I wanted what's best for you, you know. And that's why, like, I kind of, maybe it was a little extreme, but when my boys was playing football, my boys, the thing about them in football was they didn't want to just play football and be good at it. They wanted to look good while they was playing football. I started it off when they were young. I made sure, like, whatever the latest gloves and arm pads and all, I went out and got my kids the latest everything. They had the latest.
You on that, Doc.
I was in high school playing
Deion Sanders effect.
And Jordan cleats. He had Jordan cleats.
Yeah.
And He had the best gloves, everything. Like, and he'll tell you, I'm finna go play, but I'm gonna look good playing.
I think too, as a parent, you have to be open-minded. I remember her probably about maybe 3 years ago. I told my son, "Come on, man, let's go take a walk." And so we walking. We took about maybe a mile and a half walk, and he just started talking, and I started listening to him. And some of the stuff that man was sharing, I was like, "This dude, hey, you know, he could have been maybe 17 at the time or something like that." And I'm like, "Bro, this dude is wise beyond his age." So a lot of times, learn to listen to your children, bro. You don't even know,
Yeah.
because we didn't have the internet and all these type of things, and you know what I'm saying. And then you got the children that actually read and be involved, and and finding out and getting to know stuff. And he was sharing stuff with me. I would have been like, "Bro, you all right?" So you just don't know, bro. You gotta listen too.
Yeah, but that's one of them outlets right there, man. You gotta take advantage of when they talking like that. I'm asking questions. I want
Yeah,
to
bro. I
let
mean,
them know.
and it makes you feel good, bro. That you've done the best that you can do. I remember my dad, man, when I turned 18. He said, "Son, come here and sit down." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, what I do now?" He said, "Son, you of age now. 18 is supposed to be of age." He said, "I've done the best that I could do as a father." He said that there was no book for it, and um, I don't let you know that I'm proud of you, what you've accomplished, and da 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 da. And now it's your opportunity to take the horn, you know,
Bull by
and
the
work
horn.
with
Yeah.
it. And I always just look back on that conversation, saying that he took the time out, regardless of what he had did or didn't do. Let me stop right now and say, okay, this is what this is supposed how this is supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the sacrifice means
Mhm.
everything. You gotta sacrifice. When you have those children, man, it ain't about you no more.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
what you were saying too, Lavelle, is it just show you how you can grow just even listening to your children or being around them. I
Mhm.
just had to talk about my dad again. I noticed, like, growing up, he was real hard in the household when I was in the household. But when I
Mhm.
started having my own family, I started seeing another side of my father. I was like, man,
yep.
seeing him share emotions. And I remember when he first told me, he sent me a long email one time. He was like, "Son, I just want to let you know I've been watching you. I'm proud of you. I want you to let you know I love you." Man, you know how that had an impact on me as a grown man. I was all
Yep.
teary-eyed. I'm like, "This my pop." You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
was
I actually watched
affirming.
this therapist that I follow on Instagram, and I've been wanting to share this video for the longest. And she said that when she does her counseling, she said she doesn't counsel the 56-year-old Tony. She counsels the child in Tony.
Mm,
Because she said basically that's all we are, children who have grown ages, if you will. And she said a lot of times the reason why people have not progressed in life because they've overshadowed their child that's in them, and that child still be yearning. And she said, I speak to that child all the time, and it helps the development catch up with that 56-year-old person or whatever the case may be. And I had never looked at it like that, and I was like, man, that's powerful. So the fact that you said that even though that you had got of age and he told that he loved you, it still felt good at that particular age. You know what I'm saying?
man,
Because
it
you
felt
longed for
great.
that.
It felt great. I
Yeah.
ain't heard it. I mean, you know what?
Right.
And let me say this: it come from anybody could tell me. My cousin right, Tony, could tell me that, or somebody that I respect down the road could tell me that. But
But your
it's different
daddy,
when it
doc.
comes from your father, man. When your father say something, he know you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I saw a lot. Like when I tell you, like I've been in this family for 35 years, and I've seen the old Uncle Lewis. I seen the old Uncle Lewis, and I seen the one now. And now he's like, it's like he's discovered a part of himself that or coming to a part of himself. And sometimes they just say that this happens as a person gets older and they get grandchildren. Because I always say, like, my mom was tough with us, but my little brother is 5 years younger than me. So when he was born, you know, my mama at that time, my mama was getting older. We was, you know, my mama, like, he got away with stuff that we never got away with. And then the grandkids, man, hell, they get away with murder. You know what I'm saying? It's like they get softer the older they get. And it's the same with us. I look at it now, like the stuff how I do it back then. Now I'm a little bit more gentle, more kind, or more, you know, with how I move now. Because, you know, like Lavelle, we always talk about evolving and changing, and you should be growing and maturing. And that's all. When I look at Uncle Lewis, I see the maturity level, the growth. I see how he's not afraid to share his emotions, his emotional side, and say he love you. And man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen him cry in the last 2 years, and I never saw that.
Not in the ever see him cry.
Yeah.
And I know he was emotional, but and then my first time I saw him cry, man, I was looking like, man, you got tears.
Gentlemen, it's men walking around here like that here currently with the society that we're living in. They're in this big shell, and every once in a while they get cracked. They get cracked here and there, get cracked here and there. But that person that's longing to be who they are is literally being just suffocated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They want to love. They want to make a difference, but because of the trauma and all the stuff they've been through, it's like, man, how do I come out the shell?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me do this, man. I want to share this, man, because we talking about these kids, and we always talk about we want to shine the light on these kids, man. And this one of my little church members, man, that, you know, when I tell you I love this little girl, man, but it every year she send me, before the season starts, she send me her basketball schedule, she send me her track schedule, she sent me her prom send off the other day, her prom send off this coming Friday. And I told Monica, like, I can't not miss it. I'm gonna be late coming to the bowling alley because I'm going, you know. But this young lady is the valedictorian. This is the one on the right. She's celebrating. This is the class of 25 for Mero. This is the valedictorian. She's a valedictorian of Leah Clinton, and then the salutatorian to Leah Bailey. Man, I want to shout out these two young ladies, man, for doing an awesome job, man. Valedictorian and salutatorian for the class of 2025 for Melrose High.
Awesome. That's awesome right there.
Yeah, man.
Man, shout out to them, man. And I'm gonna be at that prom off. I'm gonna be a little late bowling, but I'm coming.
Hey, man, that's way more important, bro.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
I will be there.
Tony, you just reminded me of something. I don't have a son. You know, God to see that happen in our life. You know, we lost twin boys. I don't know if you knew that. We lost twin boys at birth. But I don't have a biological son. But in the church, there was a young man there whose father was in jail. And he was around about 12 years old. He took a liking to me. I put him up under my arm, and he became like a son for me. And matter of fact, we used to go to the church. We used to cut the grass. We spend time together, have breakfast. We used to have all types of conversations. And we used to go to the basketball games, the pro games. And it got so much that he was like my right-hand man. It was like when I go somewhere, they'd be like, where Jamar at? You know, it was that close with me. I was like, oh yeah, he's in school right now. You know what I mean? But he was always with me. And now this young man, he done went to college. I went to his graduation. He done got his master's degree. Keep in mind, he was a single family household, and father was in jail, and brothers was all in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Doing all types of stuff. And this young man is a master's degree. He's counseling other kids now. And he sent me a letter not so long ago, man. That's a letter that had me breaking down. And he was just telling me how he appreciated me having an impart in his life and being there for him. And I remember even one time, I was right before I had my first child, he was with me, and he came to me as a young man. He was like, I know you're about to have your daughter, but will you still have time for me? And I looked at him, man, I grabbed him, I said, I'm always gonna have time for you, man. And he kept that. and he was like my son, man. And I
Well,
imparted
look at
in
the
him.
heartstrings.
I'm getting even emotional even talking about him right now
Yeah,
because it makes me so
I feel
proud.
it.
And we touch,
Yeah,
we don't talk like we used to, but every birthdays he send me something, and I'm sending him something for his.
yeah.
It just feels good that I had an impact in somebody's life, a male. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. With I used to have this boys youth ministry called SOBYM, Save Our Boys Youth Ministry, and I talked about we always talk about, and I gotta get them. I've been trying to get them all on the show, man, but they all work different hours. They music, they all doing good, and it's hard. And out of all those boys that we had, one passed on early. He was in a car accident early, and then one actually went to jail, but now he's out and doing good.
Good.
So it's like all them boys doing good, man. And so one of them actually came to church a couple of Sundays ago. I was at church, and he said, "Give me some money, man." I went in my pocket. I had a $50 bill. He took the $50 bill, and then he held it for a minute, and he gave it back to me. And I said, "Now you know you could have kept it. You good for it." He said, "No." He went in his wallet, took out $100 bill, and gave it to me. I said, "I ain't getting it back." He said, "I don't want you to. I want you to go do something for you and your wife."
Yes.
And
Wow.
we went and got lunch with it. And when I told Monica about it, she said, "Oh," but it just goes to show you. So Monica called him right while we was having lunch and thanked him and stuff. And he said, "Look, whenever y'all want to go on a date, whenever you want to go on a date with Tony," he said, "call me. It's on me. I got y'all."
Wow.
That
It's
just
powerful.
goes to show you, bro, like the impact that you make on people's life, man, is lasting. And they don't,
Wow.
I keep saying, man, it don't have to be blood, bro. It don't have to be blood. That boy, that
Yeah.
love you showed that young man, that went a long way for him because he know you didn't have to do it.
Yeah. That's rooted and grounded. Now, dog. Them seeds meant something.
Yeah.
When these
Y'all
kids
know
have
what
become
time
so
it
much
is, though.
comfortable.
Y'all know what time it is. Carolyn said, "That's my niece." Monica said, "Awesome job, Aaliyah." But y'all know what time it is. It's time to put them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that T with my girl, Queen Watkins. Queen, without further ado, clock it.
Good morning. Y'all know what time it is with them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that T with your girl, Queen Watkins. I hope y'all are having an amazing morning. But y'all know what time it is. It's time to clock that T. Have y'all seen the story of the lady that wanted to save herself into marriage, but when she saved herself, yeah, it was too tight? Yeah, let's talk about it. So Sarah was 44 years old. She ended up meeting her husband. They fell in love with each other, y'all, and they got engaged and decided they wanted to get married. Now, Sarah, she's never touched another man, let another man touch her. She was wanting to save herself until she got married. Kudos, Sarah. That's a long time, 44 years. But she wanted to save herself, and that she did. So they had a wedding. Their families blended well together. The wedding, they said, was very nice, was very beautiful. So Sarah was ready. Do you hear me? She knew she haven't had it at all, and she wanted it from her man. She was excited. Like, clock it. But when they got to their honeymoon, he was trying to penetrate her and he couldn't go in. And y'all, they were trying for hours. From what Sarah said, they was trying for hours and he could not go in. Now, what they were using, if they were using different things, not sure. They're from London, but baby, he just couldn't insert himself. So Sarah was crying. She was in pain. She was hurting. She didn't know what was going on. She was upset because this is the night that she was waiting on, and she can't even get none. She can't even feel it. So she decided that she was going to go to the doctor because they were trying for a few weeks now, and nothing worked out. So she decided she was going to go to the doctor. When she went to the doctor let her know that she had something medically going on to where her hole was real tight. And the only way, like pin tight, and the only way that she can expand it is if she had a surgery. And if I'm not mistaken, she had to wait on that surgery, y'all. It took a few more weeks that they said she would have to wait on the surgery for them to open her up so she could finally experience her husband, because it's been a good 7 months. 7 months since they been married, and they still ain't had none, right? So they basically living like best friends at this point. I mean, maybe oral, you know, but hopefully she get the surgery and, you know, they can have them some fun, because that's what she was really wanting. And due to medical reasons, she couldn't get none. So I don't know what they gonna do at this point, y'all. I'm waiting for a part 2. All right, y'all, that's all the tea that I have today. Make sure y'all tune in to 2 Men in Hats, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. And don't forget to stay tuned for your girl, Queen Watkins. Clock that tea. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
Wow. I had a church member, man, that when he never had sex, and when he met his now wife, he was a virgin, and they didn't have sex until they got married, and they have children and everything. I always wonder what is that like to be able to?
Yeah, me too.
Neither one of you guys never experienced anything. That has to be like for real. But anyway.
No comment. I ain't got no experience.
Look, Lavelle, you got to go back to your old way of doing your sound effects, because they ain't coming through on your new way.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what queen be I don't know what queen be getting this stuff from, but you can't make this stuff up, bro. Like,
no, you can't.
She never ceases to amaze me with the tea she comes up with, because I don't know where she be coming up with this stuff from. But I can only imagine you waiting 40-something years, not, withholding from, not letting no man touch you for 44 years. Then you finally say, I'm married, I want to get it going, and it can't happen. Not only that, the man probably lost his mind. Shoot.
Yeah, it makes me kind of wonder too. Like, was that one of the reasons she stayed a virgin?
I don't know, bro. But 7 months, y'all been married 7 months and still ain't got it done. She said they basically living as best friends right now. Well, look, man, this our time. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us today, man. And anytime, bro, you want to join one of these conversations, man, you got the link now, man. Pop in there and join the conversation. The link works, man.
No, y'all thank y'all for having me, man. I enjoy y'all. I think this is blowing up because what y'all doing is genuine, real. I love it. So,
thank you, brother. Rodney says, you don't have to be blood to be family. That's true. Carol said, wow. Rodney, I knew Rodney. I knew Rodney. I was waiting on Rodney. Rodney said she got a hot spit on that thing. I was waiting on Rodney to come say something. But thank you, bro. Thank you so much. Man, we appreciate it. Lavelle already said, Lavelle, I don't know, man. I know you said we're gonna withhold the prayer to Friday. But I don't know, man. I think we need to let Marcus kind of pray us out.
I was already thinking the same thing. Great minds thinking alike, Doc. 2 Men in Hats. Let's let Marcus pray us out, Doc.
Yeah. Come on, pray us out, Marcus.
Lord, we just come to you. We just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you for your goodness, your grace, and your mercy, Lord. We thank you for these 2 Men in the Hat, man. We thank you for this podcast, Lord. And we just asking, Lord God, that you continue to bless this podcast, Lord. Take it to higher heights that only you can take it, Lord. We thank you for the realness in them. We thank you for all that you're doing. We ask that you bless their comings and their goings, Lord. Bless every guest, Lord. We ask that you just have your way with these men, Lord. I thank you for what you're doing. Continue to provide, continue to bless, Lord. Continue to have your way. And I thank you for these men again, God. And we give you all of the glory and all of the praise, God, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Man.
We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Same bad time. Wait, you know what? Before we do that, and I know kind of prematurely, I gotta breach of this, man. Cause we got this coming up in November. We said we're gonna start pushing it now. We also have, y'all see, we keep the Cash App scrolling across the bottom, right? And we've already told y'all that any donations of $25 or more, this stuff the money does not go into Lavelle in our pockets. But any donations of $25 or more, we will provide you with a T-shirt, a tumbler, 2-minute hat tumbler, hat, T-shirt, or one of those items. And you had to be local. Now, if you want it shipped to you, we'll ship it, but you're gonna have to pay the shipping. But we will, as long as those supplies last, we will provide you with a hat, a T-shirt, or a tumbler, or a coffee mug or something. If you donate at least $25 or more. We also have a family that we are trying to send on, a family of 6. It's a young lady who has 5 children who just kind of tugged at my heartstrings. We were talking about traveling, and she was like, if only I could, travel and go somewhere. And so I really would like to send this young lady and her 5 children on a weekend getaway somewhere where there's a water park or something for the summer where they can get out and enjoy and just be out of this area, just, to go and do something. And we do know that there's a new, Lavelle and I talked about this, I actually shared it with them. There's a new water park opening right down the street in Oxford, Mississippi that we do. So, whatever donations y'all seeing, y'all goes towards helping, this family then be able to enjoy a weekend. Everybody not able to do it. Everybody can't do it.
It being that close, Doc, we can probably rent a van and drive it down, Doc.
Hey, I mean, whatever, man. Like, whatever works, man. I don't know, but I just want to be able to do that. And then again, we joint venture with my church, and probably gonna have more sponsors before it's over. Doing our tents for the homeless in November. We always do it the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And so hopefully we did it big last year, y'all. We had almost 100 tents, wasn't Lavelle? I think close to 100.
It was I think the last count was like 87 or 88, something like that.
So we wanna, I wanna hit that 200 mark this year, y'all. I wanna have at least 200 tents. If we don't have 200 tents, I'm telling you, I want 200 tents, but I also want people to come up with sleeping bags, stuff that these homeless people can use while they're out. Most of the time, all of them are not able to make it inside shelters and stuff like that and have it somewhere where they can go in and cover up. So they need blankets, they need sleeping bags, they need anything, the wagons to be able to pull their stuff around. I went on Temu and found those wagons for $15, y'all. You can go on Temu and places like that and find stuff cheap. I'm gonna see if I can find some tents this year in bulk somewhere that we can get them. These little pop-up, and they need their pop-up tents. They don't need something that they're gonna take them an hour to put together, and they trying to figure it out. They don't have time for that when they out here traveling and moving about. So we want to make sure that we do that as well. So we're gonna be pushing that. But whatever donation you guys give us, we certainly appreciate it. We appreciate all the support and help that you guys have done thus far, and that you will continue to do. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Kudos to you guys, man.
Yep. So we try to do as best we can with our community, man, giving back to our community. The Easter egg, the second annual Zellyfine Easter egg hunt was a success last Saturday, and we want to continue to support all of those. We losing the community, so one of the ways to give back is to give back to the community and help those who are in need. So, all right, man. With that being said, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time,
same bad place.
Too Many Hats.
Let's talk about it.
It's the 2 Minute Hats podcast with your host with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock That He. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Minute Hats podcast.